Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Afrodo Reviews, where I help you decide, is that book worth reading of a second breakfast? Or does it deserve the fiery pits of Mount Doom? So today's video is not going to quite be a review. Obviously that's because, I do have books I want to review. I'm not sure if I should review them. One such book is The Venomous Tempest by S.C. Van Dorn. Dorn? I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say it. It has two O's, so like Dorn. Could it be Dorn? Door and then add an N to it. Dorn, yeah. Anyways, one of the reasons I'm hesitant to review this book is that it is a self-published work on Kindle. Well, not necessarily. On Amazon, I guess is a better way of putting it. And unlike something like SWF, where I was specifically asked to review it, this is a book that I would have a fair amount of criticisms for, even if I would have a fair amount of criticisms for. I'm not sure if I should go out there and do it. Because, again, it's a self-published work on Amazon. It's a book I wanted to give it a chance, but... Would you like to add something? Anyways, like I said, it's a self-published work on Amazon, and I don't want to just go after a book for to seem like I'm bullying a very small author. And even though I would attempt to make it a more constructive criticism more than anything, I just don't want to give the wrong perception of it. So needless to say, that's one of those I'm very much debating on when it comes to it. That being said, one of the things I do want to talk about is what I'm going to do for the rest of the channel. Now, part of the reason uploads have been so slow is because my job has been draining the soul out of me. And I know that everyone says that because, obviously it's a job. Most jobs are supposed to do that, apparently. But this has been particularly bad this week because I got to prepare for Super Bowl. Next week, I'm literally doing Clopen, as they call it, where I will be getting off at 11 p.m. one day and then coming back in at 4 a.m. the next. So, in any case, that's neither here nor there. So I just wanted to give this blanket apology before I really go into what I'm going to try to do for this year. Obviously, it's not going to be the only thing I do, but it is going to be a big, let's say, event I'm going to do, and I'm going to continue to try to do on this channel. And that would be reading the most banned books of the previous year. Now, one of the things I decided to do this year was I wanted to read all of the most banned books of 2023 and, obviously, read them in 2024. Take a look at them, see what they have to say, maybe figure out why they're so banned, maybe, take a closer look at things like that, discuss it, stuff, see if it's really worth all the anger and outrage it gets. The answer is probably always going to be no, just to be clear. But, so yeah, I just want to go ahead and say that. Now, obviously, when I start this, there are going to be a couple books I'm not going to read just off the start. Because certain books, like the Sarah J. Maas books, all of them are some kind of sequel to a previous book she wrote. And I've stated multiple times that I'm not a fan of starting a series in the middle. I very much prefer to, start a series and actually, start from the beginning. Not start at book 3 or, book 12 or something like that. Even when it's, the detective works that are supposed to be, you can pick up any of them and read and get a fair idea of what's going on. I just always generally prefer starting at the start. And with these books, unlike the detective one, I'm going to go ahead and say that those are probably not something I can read in a vacuum. The other works that I'm probably going to end up skipping, not all, but maybe some of them, are the Ellen Hopkins works, if I remember her name right from that list. That is to say that Ellen Hopkins has actually a lot of books on the most banned books of 2023. She actually has the 10th most banned, I believe. She has like the 10th most banned, the first most banned, the 6th most banned. It's wild that this woman has so many banned books on the top 10 list there. So I definitely am going to try to get at some of them, but just this couple of them really just don't sound like my kind of book. The one that comes to mind the most is I think it's called Disturbed, but it's about 5 teenage workers of the night I'm not sure how much YouTube lets me get away with these days. So obviously that's not really something that, intrigues me too much. I don't think I could read it and give a fair view on it. I might. There's a couple here and there that do sound interesting, and I do kind of want to read. But can I help you? Why are you licking my arm? I really wish you guys could just see this look she gives me sometimes. Like, I don't know if any of you've ever owned a pug, but the looks they can just give you. Why are you licking my hand? Anyways, to further on to the point. Anyways, so I'm not going to promise those for sure. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to get as many as I can. But, that being said, the ones I do have for sure are 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. Now, a lot of us know this series mostly from Netflix and its adaptation. And it's a series that I definitely remember being very mired in controversy. Not necessarily mostly because of how it handles the subject matter. Now, this is specifically to the adaptation I'm discussing. The book itself, I've heard very little about in terms of, what's actually in it. Even in terms of comparison, I don't hear many people talk about, how this is what the book changed from the movie. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this just with blank mind. I'm not even going to go into it in preconceptions, which will be mostly easy. I really didn't watch the series that much. To give an initial impression, here's the back of the book. You can't stop the future. You can't rewind the past. The only way to learn the secret is to press play. Clay Jensen doesn't want anything to do with the tapes Hannah Baker made. Hannah is dead. Her secret should be buried with her. Then Hannah's voice tells Clay that his name is on her tapes, and that he is in some way responsible for her death. All through the night, Clay keeps listening. He follows Hannah's recorded words through his small town, and he discovers what changes his life forever. Or what he discovers changes his life forever. I cannot read today for some reason. Maybe this is not a good day to be reading the back of the book for, initial reactions. In terms of the series, and I'm assuming some of it applies at least to the book itself. I know one of the reasons that this series is so controversial is how it handles the subject it's based around. The subject of self-termination. And the idea that it glorifies it, or it makes it seem like a good thing to do, almost. Now, obviously, again, I have not actually watched the series or read the book, so that's just what I've heard. I'm somewhat interested. This was something that's been on my radar for a little bit, just out of the sheer curiosity of it. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about this. It just occurred to me now that this is basically going to be a TBR video, but that wasn't the intent going in. And it's not like a month TBR. It's going to be throughout the year when I get to them, kind of thing. Like right now, I'm currently reading Zoo by James Patterson. That's probably actually going to be the next review. And I got something planned for a Natasha Preston book called The Island. It's kind of a slasher book that I read a while back, but I didn't want to just do a blanket review like I normally do. I actually have like stuff planned for that one. So let's move on to the next book. Mind you, also, this is not in order from, 10th most banned to, this most banned. This is just the books I currently have on me. As I get the other books, I'll probably, talk about them a little bit, give an initial impression. But anyways, another one of the books that were most banned was Looking for Alaska by John Green. Now, this one's actually kind of confusing for me. I know John Green wrote The Fault in Our Stars, if I remember right, if this is the same author. So I'm kind of surprised any of his books ended up on there. And of all the top 10 books that I saw on there, this was the only one I looked at and just couldn't figure out the initial, okay, why was this being banned so much? Because obviously, you got this book, you can kind of get a good idea what the common cause of why it's being banned for. The same for, the book Genderqueer, which is, spoiler alert, on this list, because I think that's just the most banned book in all of the U.S. But that being said, I on initial impression, I can already kind of guess why those get banned so much, especially, anyways. But this is the one that I don't know. why is it being banned so much? This is actually the one that I'm most curious about more than anything. So let's go ahead and read the back of the book and, figure it out. Miles Halter is fascinated by famous last words and tired of his safe life at home. He leaves the boarding school to seek out what the dying poet Francois Rabelais called the Great Perhaps. Much awaits Miles at Culver Creek, including Alaska Young, who will pull Miles into a labyrinth and catapult him into the Great Perhaps. And yeah, that's kind of all it is. There's just a little blurb on the back that kind of describes the book in general. Says it chronicles the indelible, and I have no idea how to say this word. Let's just leave it at that. Impact one life can have on another. It doesn't seem all that different from like The Fault in Our Stars or something like that in concept alone. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect in this book or why it's being banned so much. It's not even an LGBT book like Genderqueer, which obviously why that book's being banned. So I'm not gonna get into the politics of this yet. Obviously, it's gonna be unavoidable. These are the most banned books of 2023. So, anyways, this is gonna be one of the books I'm gonna read throughout the year. Now, this is one of the books that I also picked up. I've never read anything by this author. Her name is Toni Morrison. Winner of the Nobel Prize, actually, at least so it says on this book. And, okay, from initial impressions, I can already kind of guess why this book is being banned so much. But, it's more of a contemporary work. That's by the way, that's something you're going to notice about a lot of these works that I'm going to be reading, is that a lot of these books aren't necessarily normally in my wheelhouse. I prefer science fiction, fantasy. These all have more of a bent towards contemporary fiction, social commentary. As I mentioned with my Dear Martin thing in my top 5 books of 2023, I don't mind social commentary books, but I do find that a lot of them sacrifice story and character for the sake of the social commentary. Dear Martin's had a good, important message, and so did something like Handmaid's Tale. But both of those books sacrifice an interesting story to tell that message. So ultimately, I'm hoping this book doesn't do that. But before I go any further, let's go ahead and just, read the back. Pecola Breedlove, a young black girl, prays every day for beauty. Mocked by other children for the dark skin, curly hair, and brown eyes that set her apart, she yearns for the blonde hair and blue eyes that she believes will allow her to finally fit in. Yet as her dreams grow more fervent, her life slowly begins to disintegrate in the face of adversity and strife. And yeah, the book kind of spells out the back kind of spells out what the book is supposed to be. It's a brilliant examination of our obsession with beauty and conformity, and obviously with a healthy dose of, racism in it. So ultimately, I'm not sure. I'm obviously expecting, more social commentary in this book. And I can already kind of take a big guess why this is being banned so much. But I'm going to save, deeper discussions into the bans and the reasonings for the ban for the days I'm actually reviewing the book. So, and obviously, those are just the ones I have physical copies of. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know this was actually kind of like a gift. But, so obviously, as you can tell, I have some of these books on this Kindle thing. Well, it's just a basically iPad, but, for Samsung, and it has Kindle on it. So it's not really a Kindle, but point is, not all of the books I'm reading for this thing is on physical copies. So I'm not going to go through them. I'll probably read them as they come, but Genderqueer, for example, I'm bringing up mostly because this is definitely one of those books that I've definitely wanted to read for a long while. As I mentioned before, it's like one of the most banned books in all of America. And I don't really need to go into the reason why. The title kind of tells you everything. But, yeah, I mean, I'm already kind of somewhat into it. And I as someone, I just don't get it. I don't get the bans. So far, I guess maybe it talks about something a little more deeper further in. But as it stands at the moment, you know what? Deeper conversation for the day. I talk about the book. Or I guess it's a comic. I actually, for the longest time, I thought it was an actual novel. And it turns out this is actually a comic, which surprised for me. But in any case, that's pretty much what I have to say about this. I'm not gonna go too much deeper into this. There are a couple other books here and there I'm obviously gonna read. I'm definitely gonna try to get Ellen Hopkins Identical, I believe it's called, and I'm gonna try to read that. But without further ado, that's really all I have to say for this video. Again, I want to apologize for the lack of uploads and how slow it's been this month. I really did want to do a lot more, but soul sucking job and all. Doesn't help that I have a bum knee and it's a very physically demanding job. So, in any case, with that being said, just remember, with every book comes an adventure, and every adventure is worth having, even the bad ones. Any final comments? Wonderful.